Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another Gunpla review, and I just got this from the shop there because they did not have it when I did the Ninpulse Gundam. That is this guy right here. If you haven't seen that review, make sure to check that out, but for now let's have a look at these. And of course this right here is the high-grade build custom Ninpulse beams build fighters support effect parts. So what you get in here is these things you see down the front of the box here. Anyway, up here as you can see on the price tag, this cost me 480 yen at my local Yamada Denki, but on the side there the recommended retail price is 600 yen. As for the sides of the box, there is the bottom, top, nothing much on this side here, and over here on this side then, so far it looks like they're colorless, so if you want to make these the color of your choice, you're going to need to get some clear paint in green, blue, red, whatever you like. And also on this side of the box is the Ninpulse beams being used with a variety of high grades, including the Build Burning Gundam, Build Strike Gundam, the Ninpulse Gundam, as well as the high-grade Unicorn Gundam. It's pretty cool that these effect parts can be used on the thrusters. It seems like there's some more down here, which are very similar to Builder's parts set we saw before. It had some vernier effects as well as some beam saber effects, so kind of similar to that. So partly the Ninpulse Gundam has the ability to control particles, so that's why it can change the effects or the look of the effects of the beam sabers. So I'm not sure if we're going to see in the GM no Gyakushu OVA that the Ninpulse will affect the beam sabers of other mobile suits it's fighting with. It may not. I guess only time will tell. But anyway, let's bust this thing open and see what we've got. Oh, before I do that, we've also got some more information on the bottom of the box. And this is pretty much exactly what we've seen on the side. So let's open this up and get to the manual first. Okay, so let's open that up, and it says, try attaching the weapons to mobile suits sold separately. So again, there are the parts with the Build Burning, the Ninpulse, Unicorn, and the Build Strike. Down there is the assembly, and it seems that these two parts make up the one effect part. But it does look like you could use this separately if you wanted to. So there it is, being used with those tonfa-like blade sections on the Ninpulse Gundam. Around here on the back are these sections here that are used with the scroll that can pop into the Ninpulse's mouth. These parts seem to be specifically for the Build Burning's leg. It says that this is the recommended item for using with these. This one, which I'm pretty sure is the one we saw on the other side without the little explosion energy effect at the bottom, they say to use with the Build Strike's beam saber. And the last one, which is kind of this lightning looking effect part, they say to use that with the high grade Unicorn Gundam. So these are intended to be used with certain Gundams, but of course you can use them with whatever you want. And in this box we have a grand total of one bag containing 2 runners, and I'm surprised by this. These are actually flexible, not hard. So I guess the same kind of material your standard beam sabers would be made out of. So this is Runner J2, which has all of those kind of vernier looking effects there. These do have a larger connection point, I think, than the other standard ones. Seems like you have a lot of choices here. There's more here than was shown in the manual, because you've got these 2 here which were shown with the Build Burning, and we also have these 2 shorter ones as well. So I'm going to try these out with a few things and see what they work with. The next runner then is Runner J3. This is Runner J2. This is Runner J3. So where is Runner J1? J2 says Ninpulse beams. J3 says Ninpulse beams. If you have any idea where J1 might possibly be, then drop that in the comments. And there are the scroll effects, those shorter particle effects, the longer beam saber looking particle effects, and those lightning ones. Let's cut those out and see what they look like. So first up we have these scroll effects. These are kind of flat on the back. These are only meant to be seen from the front. There is a side perspective, so as you can see it's kind of hollow-ish on the back. So again, this isn't really a beam saber effect part, more so a kind of different effect part for using with the Ninpulse Gundam. So there are a couple of things about the Ninpulse Gundam here that I did not mention in the actual review of it. Of course, if you want to see that review, go check that one out now. But I was holding on to a couple of things to mention in this review because they would have been kind of pointless in the actual one. The first off is the Ninpulse does have a kind of beam saber, a little bit different. It's stored in here under the back. We've got 1 and 2 of those. They are in gray, even though the box says that they should be in red. You can also see that they do have a tab in the side there. They're also not fitted for the hands. This right here is the shape of a weapon for using in the hands. There's no tab on it. It's rectangular. Same goes for the included beam rifle, which isn't necessarily for this, but uses the exact same hands because they're from the high-grade Force Impulse. So this is actually for sticking in its mouth, if you can call it a mouth. And in order to get to the slot, we have this little piece here that drops down just like that. And then that beam saber, or should I say beam scroll, pops into the tab like that. Then throw in those beam effects, bam, and bam. So there are those. Of course, they're in colorless clear, so that means you can paint them whatever color you like, but they do look pretty damn cool. As for those other beam effects that are intended to be used with this mobile suit, you have to pop out these ones here, which is an absolute shame. I love these blades, and I love that shade of green. Out they pop. And then what we're going to use here is a combination between the larger burst effects and the longer beam saber part. So that should just slot into the center of that, just like so. That does look pretty cool though. So there is a quick spin of the Ninpulse Gundam with the Ninpulse beams, and these do look really cool. I think you'd really have to get a kind of shade of clear green that would match the clear green on there to make these look perfect. A little bit of color would make them look that much better. Next up then are these lightning style beam effects. These are intended to be used with the high-grade Unicorn Gundam Destroy mode. That is a kit I don't have, so let's just try them with the real grade. Well, that was something I was unaware of. I didn't know high grade and real grade beam sabers had different size holes. Probably because it's been a long time since I've done a non-Iron Blooded Orphans high grade review. I mean a really long time. They don't come with beams, and this isn't something I was expecting, so you cannot use this out of the box with the real grade. Yes, my plans are absolutely in tatters. I was planning on using the real grade build strike for the beam sabers, but once again, they don't fit. Wait. Well, actually it kinda does and it doesn't. It fits ever so loosely, but strong enough that it won't necessarily fall out unless it's at the wrong angle. It's loose, but it is holding in there. Also, it is worth noting if you do plan to use these for beam sabers with the build strike, as well as use the beam effect parts for the Tonfa-ish blades on the Ninpulse Gundam, you can't, because you only get one set of these longer beam effects, unless you're only going to use one on one and one on the other, but there isn't a set of two. So the picture there on the box is mildly misleading because it does show the Ninpulse with its blades, as well as the build strike with its blades as well. I know these are all meant to be individual pictures on here, not necessarily all together at the same time. It's showing what you can do, not necessarily everything that's included in here. Because there is some smaller vernier parts as well, just like we're seeing a bunch of different combinations of them there. That is everything that's in here, but you can't do this and this at the same time. But anywho, that is what the straight up beam saber blade looks like in a beam saber, and that's cool. That is really nice. I like these sort of effects much more than those standard just pink straight beams. Again, would look better in color, but still, that looks pretty damn cool. Also, just in case you're curious, this does fit into the real grade Build Strike's beam saber handle as well. It may not fit into the real grade Unicorn Gundam's one. It does for the Build Strike. But then again, these are intended for the high grades, and I just don't have the high grades. Also, just in case I forget to mention, there are some smaller blades as well, smaller than the long versions. On the box, it does show them used with the vernier parts, but that is what it looks like right there on the Ninpulse Gundam. That's the short one. That one over there is the long one. We also do have a smaller variant of this. These are all the vernier style ones, the bigger slot there, which do fit into these kind of connection points, the wider connection points. These have a 3mm peg as opposed to the other ones which look like they have a 1mm peg. And that makes me guess that the real grade Unicorn's beam saber handles are maybe 2mm. But anyway, there is a shorter version of the little kind of explosive effect section. And that is both the shorter explosion and the shorter beam effect part. And once again, those are the longer ones. In case you're curious, these do also seem to fit into the top of beam rifles in case you want some kind of shooting effect. Like that, or like that if you wanted to use it in a diorama or a shooting pose. So last up then is the kind of burst effect parts. We've seen the small, but we've also got a large and a small one with these kind of angled pieces. As we've seen in the instructions already, these are for using on the sides of the leg of the Build Burning Gundam. That's not a high grade I have anymore, but of course these should work with any 3mm holes. And as far as I know, that is exactly what's on the back of the Ninpulse Gundam. So let's just stick them in there. So that is the large one. There is the other large one. That is then without the beam effect. Of course, we only get 2 of the long and 2 of the short beam effects with this little set. So let's pop in the short one there and over there. So essentially, these are just like little thrusters. I'll pull this one off so you can see what one of the smaller ones look like. And finally, there is the beam effect. So that's what the smaller one looks like. And that right there is the larger one. So that is pretty much it for the review. In proper Build Fighters tradition, these are nice little customizing parts. Not necessarily something you really need, but more like something you could get if you really just wanted to customize. Just nice little things you can get to customize your kits. For these, you will technically need some clear paints because these are just in colorless clear and look a little bit on the unfinished side. So the great thing for customizers is that they are in colorless clear, which means you can paint them whatever color you like. But anyway, that is it for the review. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.